Good morning, everyone. Welcome to IT Live. I'm Texas Homer. That is Ian Boyd. Today, we will be discussing the offensive line for the Texas Longhorns. Then, whatever you guys want to talk about after that. First, head over to Inside Texas, where you can join for $1, then 50% off your first year for those new members. Link in the description below. Ian has been doing a position series, position by position. And
I'm done.
I was going to say, are you officially done now?
Yeah.
Great.
I could probably drag it out. I could probably add, I never did Sam.
Yeah. Well, you can't double back to defense after you get to offense. That's against the law.
I can do whatever I want, Connor.
No. It's against the rules. You did defense first. You did offense. You could never.
I want to be done.
You will never ever return.
It's been good. It's kept me with the hardest thing in the off season is coming up with what to write.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's kept me afloat.
It's the season is so easy. Off season is a nightmare. It's easy in the beginning, and then you're on month 6 of this. All right, what's going on? Bobby Petronic asked to start off. Will this team make a playoff run if the offensive line is merely average to occasionally good versus the Tara bad to adequate addition filed last year? Mostly one's positions and position coaches' failings.
I don't agree with the blame pie distribution by Petronic. I don't think it's all on Flood. Bill Simmons does this thing now, blame pie, where there's 8 slices, I guess. And it's who gets how many slices of the blame. And I would give Flood maybe 3 slices.
Of 8?
Yeah.
Well, are we doing the global thing of you recruited these players? Or are we're just completely getting rid of that concept?
Oh, does the general manager get some?
Yeah, well, it's if you're well, the players weren't good enough. It's yeah, who selected the players? So it's are we getting rid of that factor?
I think you take that into consideration. But I think I don't think that the Texas's front office, such as it is, would get that much blame. Because from what we've heard, Flood was no, we don't need a transfer guard, which was a disaster.
Yeah, now you're confusing me now because it's well, that does lead to a big, at least an extra slice.
Yeah, I think so. We'll give him 4 slices.
Okay. So he has half of the blame pie right now?
We'll give 2 slices to – no, let's give him 3. And I want to give Sark 3 as well.
Okay.
It's you're the head coach. And then I'm going to save 2 for strength and conditioning.
Okay. No blame on the players. No agency of the players.
I only have 8 slices.
Okay, sounds good.
I wish I knew more about what happened with Neto.
No.
I'm sure there's blame to go there.
All right, so your breakdown of the blame slices, why they were apportioned such way.
That was it. I don't know.
Clearly, I know, not completely thought out. It's on the spot. But specifically, the interesting thing of Sark, beyond him being the head coach, what do you mean? Play selection? How else?
More just how did you not know this was going to be a problem? It's just, the off season from hell, where it seems like Sark went into the season without as much command of the team as normal.
Right.
The last off season just seems like it was lost in so many ways. It seems like Sark was very distracted because he had so much going on. And they had all these young guys that everyone was well, these young guys are going to be awesome. And then they weren't awesome enough.
And we were kind of going off a little bit of a high. It seemed like they thought they're the system is built, the players just plug in now. It seems like we had a little slight arrogance that wasn't purely talent that, Bama has been built and it will continue forward.
There's a lot of things that went wrong. And then I keep mentioning I talked all off season about how Wingo was a huge, enormous piece of the puzzle. And then every single time they had a camp, he was quickly injured and missed most of it. So Yeah. I heard from a source like leading up at some point in fall camp, it was like they have 2 receivers on the team they trust. Livingston and Wingo, and that's it. And I was like, oh no. It's not good. But
where do you, beyond getting personnel, why do you think Flood didn't have the offensive line ready? Why did they look so confused? Beyond just, we can talk about the strength side and the technique side, but remember watching that all 22 early, they had no clue what was going on.
was that it? I thought they just were bad.
No, they were climbing up to reads that didn't exist. They were pulling in weird ways. Like San Jose State, particularly, is one that stood out to me.
You mean Sam Houston? No,
San Jose.
UTEP.
UTEP was one of them too, but San Jose State is the one I think that's the one I sent you clips from. But
maybe you're right.
We're in trouble.
Because they like
UTEP was scary too, but that was more like we were physically getting beat. Whoever that nose was for UTEP looked like an All-American versus us. They were like throwing our guys around. It was wild.
It felt like UTEP, they threw all kinds of junk at us. And either the junk would blow everything up or the line would murder it. And then the running back would run the wrong way.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was totally discombobulated. But what do you think that was? That's just what? Inexperience? I'm kind of leading you towards I think there's a problem with interior line coaching. I feel better about the tackles, but also oftentimes like our tackles are closer to their ceiling. Christian Jones is a counterexample, so there are counterexamples, but it's just like I give you zero credit for Kelvin Banks, that kind of thing. So
did they have any shakeups with the support staff before the season?
I don't remember.
Because normally, like
when did Chris leave?
Before the year. I don't know how much he was involved in that.
He was run game coordinating, wasn't he? I can't.
No, I don't think so. He was like an analyst.
Okay.
He was like
I don't know if it was by position, but like the whole point of Chris was to bring in a run game.
Maybe.
At least that's how it was billed.
They I do wonder if Flood had somebody less reliable to delegate. I noticed that in his LSU staff, Kiffin hired 2 offensive line coaches.
Mm-hmm. Bama's done the same.
I feel like that should be how teams do it.
Yeah, that's where I'm on. I'm on that. Bama did it. I was like, that makes total sense. It's a lot of positions, man. It's like being a DB coach. Like there's a corner coach, nickel coach, and a safety coach. They're different positions, but they work in tandem like an offensive line. So to me, it's like, why do you have one guy with 5 positions? Yeah. Technically 3 positions mirrored, but I would argue there's still 5 separate positions. But I agree. I'm more into that camp now of more than one offensive line coach.
Yeah. But I wonder if they lost someone that he was delegating stuff to. Because honestly, last year was so much worse than the other years. I feel like much of last year, people do the thing where like, this guy was a fraud all along. It's always been like this. It was not always like that.
Not at that scale. They've always had problems pushing guys around.
Yeah.
Like there's been consistent run blocking issues, red zone finishing issues the whole time. But luckily we were able to pass block well in the past. That was rather consistent until like Georgia would come along or something like that. So we'd get kind of exposed at the top end, but we were able to throw enough touchdowns that it didn't feel that bad. But the run blocking has always been suspect. And then as soon as we didn't have running backs that were explosive or could make big plays, I think it got exploited even more, making it evident that the running backs were doing a lot of heavy lifting in the run game at Texas.
The inability to get push, I attribute mostly to strength and conditioning.
Sure.
Which is, people like Joe Longhorn fan usually just blames everything on Flood. That's a normal fan thing is blame it all on the direct position coach. Maybe the more cynical, blame the head coach. You should blame the head coach because it's ultimately the head coach's responsibility. But me and Paul have been ripping on stuff about the strength program for a while now. And Yeah, if your guys are not strong, how do you teach them to?
So here's a lot of the technique sucks, like for the interior blocking, but does the technique suck because they're being taught poor technique, or does the technique suck because the player feels they're outmatched physically, so they start doing dumb stuff. So they know they can't hold up against that tackle, so now they start lunging. Or are they just lunging because they're not being taught properly? I've seen a lot of the flood clinics, whenever I'm watching them, I'm not like, this makes no sense and is stupid. I mean, the coaching points are there, but is their technique breakdown because they're not confident, not ready, not athletic enough, not strong enough? Or is something getting between practice and games? Is the simulation off for them?
Whose technique was breaking down? A lot of that was like
of course, like Stroh, but Hudson's technique would break down all the time. They'd be at that 90-degree angle all the time, their shoulders over their legs, lunging towards people. It was never like confident climbs. You can just see it in all 22. Like, what is a confident? Where does he know where he's going, and he's going there correctly versus this kind of like panicked, lungy style that they employ. So technique breakdowns were incredibly common, especially on the interior. Tackles have it too, but this might be to the point. They're more athletic, so they can kind of make up for it more often.
Yeah. To answer the actual main question, will this team make a playoff run if the O-line is merely average to occasionally good versus the terrible to adequate addition from last year? I say yes.
Well, we made it to the semis with average to occasionally good in a lot of ways.
What's average? Average? No, they were better than that.
You have the flood mentality of outsized pass blocking. They were always average run blockers. Like we can't just calculate in pass blocking.
Okay, but if you're an average run blocker and then you're a good pass blocker, then you're better than average.
Yeah, then you get into the occasionally good part.
No, they were not. I don't think that's. I think that's too.
I think they were in the occasionally good because whenever they played,
how many teams are included in the average? All 132 FBS teams, all the P2 teams. What do you need to be? If you're average, what's the middle? What are you the middle of?
FBS. You can do power 4 instead of P2 or FBS.
Okay, if it's FBS, they've been way above average the entire time. Because now you're counting like the Sun Belt schools and all those schools. They do not. If they played SEC schools every week, those places would look awful. If it's Power 4, I still think they were better than average.
I mean, we're just at an impasse here. They were average in my stance, and they were above average in yours. But my thing was, even above average, then they got to the semifinals.
Yeah.
So the answer to you would be no.
What?
The answer would be no. Because if they were above average in semifinal, here he's asking average make the national championship.
If they're better than last year, I think they're good. I don't think the line is good if it's better than last year. If the line is meaningfully better than last year, I think the team will be fine. I don't think they need to clear that high a bar. Like Bobby Petronic says, better than average OL and Power 4 don't field players with 0 grades for games. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true.
So do they need to be the language here? I'm getting lawyery. Better than last year doesn't mean anything. Like, because they had really bad performances. Like going from being, one of the worst performing lines earlier in the season to better. So you just mean overall in P4, they're like top 25% and can get to the national championship. Using them in relation to last year doesn't mean anything to me because they sucked last year.
But that was like if they had been decent last year, they would have made the playoffs.
I agree with that. Because we saw them at least stabilize towards the end. and it looked a lot different.
And the overall team is a lot better than last year.
Right.
So if the weakest part of the team becomes like decent and everything else improves, I think that's enough.
That's where I think is ultimately if they can just set the floor and not do horrific things where stunts are just demolishing them and are just getting hit by two guys at the same time. And then you add in Cam Coleman and then you add in explosive backs. I think you actually could make the national championship here with an average offensive line with the occasionally good there as well. All right, let's hear some thoughts here. Ryan Nelson. I think Stroh and Hudson were by far the worst athletes we had played at interior under Sark. Majors and Connor were solid athletes for the position, only exposed against big boys. Sure. I mean, Stroh was absurd watching that tape. That was, I don't know how. What did Neto do, man? He must have just done something evil, I guess, behind the scenes. That'll haunt us forever as Texas fans. We don't play O-line earlier in their career, so they have no continuity over the years. There is a little bit of that where, like, we would start a tackle and he'd go straight to the NFL and just selfishly to be a little bit nicer to have him on a longer curve.
You don't want to play. You don't want to play linemen earlier in their career.
Correct. That's the trick too. But you do have that situation that happens where like a team sucks and you're gonna have to bear that, and so they start all the O linemen, and then 4 years later, it's like these guys are all seniors and played 9,000 snaps together. But that doesn't always work either. You'll hear that a lot in preseason talks that these guys have X snaps together, and it doesn't really bear out necessarily. I don't think we need elite offensive line play to make a run. Just above average and have a decent floor. I agree, 100%.
Yeah. Who's the last national champion that had an elite offensive line? Who's the last national championship that won? And it was like, well, I'll tell you why this team won. Offensive line play.
Yeah, there's always the guys. I think who won it? No, but the last one that was a big deal was like Washington when they made their run, had a good O line.
Michigan, people are saying.
Michigan.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And Michigan's very unique. Nobody else really plays that way.
Yeah, good luck recreating that style. The point is, to me, it doesn't take elite to win the national championship. It doesn't hurt. I would take it. You just can't have whatever the hell we had last year. They just can't be total liabilities and getting beat. To me, it's a floor position. It's a defensive protection perimeter around the quarterback. The perimeter can never be breached. It just takes one person to sneak in the perimeter and blow up the whole base. So it's a floor position.
Jackson Miles says we can't just be plugging in transfers every year with no continuity. I don't know if we can. Other teams definitely can.
Other teams do often, yeah.
Other teams do. I don't know if we can because the diversity of scheme and technique that we use might make that more difficult. And I think that's probably why Flood was resistant to the idea of solving problems last year with the transfer portal. Is he's like, no, I need to work with these guys and teach them my stuff.
Our system is like an anti-system. If everything is in the system, is it really a system? And that's where it is with the run game. So can you explain that, just what they're asked to do?
Well, we're getting into the article because
I'm leading you into the article, but we're having a good flow here. I don't want to just go reading off the article, so I'm incorporating through my hosting skills parts of your article.
All right, fair. Yeah, the system is being extremely multiple and be able to run the ball in different ways and pass protect in different ways. And Flood has a system for trying to teach as many techniques and schemes as he can. He'll do like same as. He'll be like he'll teach a technique for this run scheme, and then on the next run scheme, be like, okay, we're going to use this technique on these blocks, so it's actually the same as this. It seems like generally it works decently. It often works more because they'll catch teams and really hurt them than because they are consistently able to execute fundamentals. Except in 24, they were legitimately pretty consistent at outside zone. They could run outside zone consistently every week and be good at it and execute the fundamentals until they played Georgia, and then they got crushed. And then Arizona State also crushed them, which was really, really disheartening.
I don't know. I won't say I can't remember your analysis, but I did not see that coming. Paul pointed it out. I think he said we struggle with the smaller lines. That is something that I noticed too. What year was it? But we played Rice, and they were little and undersized, and they were making us work. So it's actually the littler lines at times too that have just been able to give us more panic, which is weird because we select for the faster, more athletic offensive linemen. But I think ultimately your big point is it's so varied that it's not that we're executing up and down the field. It's that we have so many different places the ball can go that eventually they're going to mismatch their defense to one of our 7 runs. And as long as the running back is fast, we can then hit an explosive run. If the running back's not fast, then nothing happens, as we saw last year. But it's more of just searching for, eventually they will have the wrong defense and be in the wrong spot. And then you have to be able to make a huge run off of it. Is that the key?
Yep.
Let's read a little bit more here. Let's see. There's a question about SEC average line play. I'm trying to find that here. But basically the question was, if we have SEC average line play, are you good there?
I think so. Another trick is that because we run so many schemes and we also run more pro-style versions of some schemes like outside zone, we are asking more of our offensive linemen than everyone else is. And so there's probably a lot of guys that have come through Texas in the last few years that people were like, that guy really wasn't that great. Like, guys better than that are at every other school. And it's like, no. If that Texas guy had been at that school and that system, he would have looked as good or better than that guy. But he wasn't. He was in our system, which was much more demanding, which is it's really not. I really don't like. I really think our philosophy is wrong.
So do I.
It's a pro-style philosophy, and it's just doesn't
without pro players.
Without pro players.
Yeah.
So one of the things I note in the article is that exactly that. We have a pro-style philosophy without pro-style players. And now we have a sort of de facto salary cap. And so it's like, how do you, if you need top athletes at every position on the offensive line, how are you going to afford to get them there? And it's
like you have 13. You can't get 13 high 4 stars.
Yeah, you can't get 13 high 4 stars. It's too expensive. Unless that's like all you do. Like Georgia kind of does that, and then they neglect other positions. Texas does. Sark's whole system is not, he's not going to neglect receiver. He's not going to neglect quarterback. He's going to go get the big money guys there. He's apparently going to get the big money guys at running back and not stop there either. So you need a system that helps the offensive line, and you need a system of development that you need to be able to turn like 3-star dudes into top guys. And so it doesn't seem like we really nail any part of that. Like we can go get the big stars.
Yeah, we can get the going to be at NFL in 3 years. Anyone could see a guy.
And we don't waste them, which is definitely a big credit to us. We can go buy the transfers that have already proven it. We'll see if we can plug them in, if that works or not, or if there's difficulties. Boy, if they can't get Siani and Seymour to execute this system, then that's what a nightmare this season will start out as.
Yeah.
And then, the ideal, there's 2 things that you would hope could work. One would be to get lean, strong athletes like Caden Scherer, or guys sort of like that, and then you bulk them up and develop them into monsters over time. I am a big fan of that approach in general, and I think it actually works really well at Texas, because Texas has a lot of guys like that within the state. every year the state has guys that are like 6'5", 260, good athletes, just need time in the weight room to add enough weight, like Cosme and Connor Williams. And then there's been a bunch of other schools that didn't come to Texas.
Well, those also weren't our coaching staff.
Yeah. But we can't do that because our strength program doesn't.
That's what I was gonna say.
John Turntine is another one. John Turntine should be like the king of those guys. We'll see how that goes. And then the other approach, which you would think would work, would be, okay, well, forget that. We're not going to pack a lot of weight on guys. Get a bunch of massive, naturally huge fat dudes, and then get Becton to work them into good shape. And then somehow we're not like nailing it on that one either. I don't even know why that one's not working, because it seems like it works amazing on defensive line.
Yeah, that's what's so weird. It's like there's other positions you can show in Becton's strength program that's not a problem at all. Maybe we need to start moving over some defensive linemen. Old school. Yeah, that's a tough spot.
I don't know why the fat guy one is not working better.
Especially with the big human. The big humans philosophy was basically like, we're just gonna bring them in big enough. And still it doesn't work. Or they're clunky, or they're big enough, but they're clunky. Their feet suck on the interior or something like that.
I mean, that's definitely happened a few times.
Yeah.
I guess it's worked for some. Like Hayden Connor worked out okay.
But Hayden Connor is more of an example of a tackle that moved to guard.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. The only way that we can get our system to work is by recruiting like 4 tackles, yeah, which is not possible. Same thing we just said. In a salary cap era, you can't recruit 4 tackles. Maybe they'll get that. Maybe if they just get like marginal tackles, that'll work. People are mentioning Christian Jones. Christian Jones was a huge success story.
Oh, he's always the great counterexample.
Jones was always extremely promising. Tom Herman had to play. Well, he didn't have to, but Tom Herman played him too early, and he was awful. And then in year 1 with Sark, they played him at left tackle, and he was awful. And then he like stuck around. He found like, I think 2 more years of eligibility, right? He was able to play in 22 and 23 in his 6th year. And he just finally had enough time to make it work.
Yeah, and he was awesome at right tackle.
Yeah, 22 and 23, especially 23, he had become a legitimate dude.
And the problem is we don't really get that long with players because we recruit a lot of tackles that are just headed to the NFL 3, maybe 4 years. So we don't have a lot of runway. We do have runway with the interior guys, but if we keep moving tackles to guard too, then we don't have runway as much as that. So I just don't think we have that 5-year, 4-year window consistently, which is okay. There's plenty of schools that have great offensive lines that don't do that. They get them developed into the NFL, but there's some timelining here that can happen. That's weird. Jackson Miles, going back to the scheme thing, and I have a question about this. All those schemes make them think too much on the field. Is that why we see – I'm setting you up for a question. I think this is the reason. Is that why we see so many penalties in your point of view?
Yeah, probably.
I think the timing is really tough, man. Like if you're worried about a legit edge, you know you're going to have to pass block. Meanwhile, in the back of your mind, you're having to time up the H-back goes here and the wide receiver goes here. And when the wide receiver crosses the second guard, that's when Arch is going to snap it. I think there's a lot of that. And you should just watch the ball, but that's not necessarily what happens. I think there's a lot going on in the backfield timing-wise that can cause them to jump.
The motions and the shifts.
Yep.
Yeah, the motions and the shifts plus the diversity of calls. Who do I block? Who do I block if they move this way? Who do I block if they do this? I think also that's partly why we keep seeing these things like here's two counter examples that illustrate the same point. DJ Campbell played like all 4 years. He played some as a freshman, was a mess, but he played some, and then played sophomore, junior, senior years and was like a co-starter or starter. And it wasn't until almost halfway through his senior season that he really turned it on. And I think for him, I think he kind of flipped a switch internally for whatever reason. Maybe it could have happened sooner. But we just said Christian Jones was like his 6th year, and then he was awesome. God knows Connor Robertson. Maybe he'll be shockingly good this year, but it's like his 5th year. I'll be like, where's this come from? And it's like, well, he had 5 freaking years to finally get here. Cole Hudson had to play all 4 years. He didn't get a red shirt. And then everybody's like, hey, we lost Kibble. We lost Daniel Cruz. We lost Nick Brooks. Before that, we lost other dudes. We were trying to get Kojo. Kojo is the ultimate test case of, can you get a huge guy with nimble feet and Beckham be able to like condition him into a good flood lineman? We haven't been able to tell because he got injured. So many of these things just require time. And even though this is year 6, like he haven't necessarily had that time with everybody. We've had young athletes that we had to immediately press into service. Many of them are already gone. You had guys that came in behind them, many of whom who transferred out because they were tired of waiting around or it wasn't like happening. And then you have like another wave of young guys, but it's like they're going to need time too. The whole thing has been it's not
ideal.
There may be a vision here that can work totally great, but they've just not been able to nail the timing of it. This is the hardest thing in college football.
All right, we will talk a little bit more offensive line here in a second, but I want to talk to you about old Drew. If you're running a business in Texas, real estate, construction, manufacturing, I've got to tell you about fellow Longhorn Drew Smith with Hub International. Most companies are still operating with the same insurance program they had when they first opened their doors. What's the problem with that? The business has grown, changed, and evolved, so has the market, but the insurance never did. That's where Drew is different. He doesn't believe in just firing up the quote machine, blasting your information out to 20 carriers and hoping for the best. That also saves you a lot of emails. He believes in building long-term partnerships and creating insurance programs tailored to the business you actually have today. Drew's team evaluates risk from the ground up, identifies coverage gaps before they turn into costly uninsured claims, and designs a strategy that protects what you've built. And when something does go wrong, insurance isn't supposed to disappear when you need it most. And it often does, unfortunately. Hub's dedicated Central Texas claims team will take care of you. And Drew and Hub have delivered actual real-world results. After a client's building burned down, the carrier denied the claim. Drew and the Hub team challenged the decision and got it paid in full. In another case, Drew helped a large real estate portfolio save nearly $500,000 simply by restructuring its insurance program. The market is moving fast right now. Property rates are dropping for the right risk if you position them correctly. Auto premiums are a mess. If your agent's only answer is it's a hard market, it's time to call Drew Smith at 210-393-8382. Talk to Drew before your renewal, not after. Contact information in the link in the description there. All right. Offensive line. Let's keep chatting. You guys are active today. Offensive line gets the people going every time. All right, Ryan Nelson states up here, Flood and Sark O-line plan looks good on a whiteboard.
Everybody's plan looks good on a whiteboard.
That's why whiteboards are awesome, because theoretically you have dominated the competition. But we talked about a bunch of reasons for the disconnect. A mental overload, and with that mental overload of plays, you end up not selecting for body types or skill sets that favor a certain scheme. Maybe they do lean more towards a certain scheme, like outside zone or something like that. But still, you don't get this. We run inside zone, and this is an inside zone blocker. They have to do a bunch of different stuff. Drew said earlier, the system requires a first-round running back and quarterback.
And receiver.
Yeah, and that's where I'm just like, well, is it a good system then?
It's a good system for attracting those people.
Sure. But I'm just like, if you need the best of the best at every position, then it's like, well, what's the system really? What lifting is the system doing here then? No comments.
Sark's been really good for Texas.
He has. Yeah, we're in the nitpicking stage. We're in the spoiled and fat. I want a national championship phase. There's no question that it's miles ahead of Herman, and we were wandering in the desert for a decade. But now we've moved past that. We're better now.
I like Herman's system better. I just think that their talent evaluation was
lacking,
bad.
Yep.
It probably used some of Becton's stuff for the skill players too. Like Herman knew how to bulk guys up and get them strong for sure.
Yeah, when I've talked to former players, they say they'd never been stronger than when they were with Yancey.
But they
everyone looked like a fullback as well whenever they played under Yancey.
Yeah. They also
somewhere in the middle.
They got their DBs all injured. That's probably fine. All the Oklahoma guys look like fullbacks too, and that's worked for them for a long time.
That is true.
And they also have injury issues too, so I don't know.
I think there's something with being that tightly wound that injures you. It's just somewhere in the middle. Like Becton's not totally wrong, Yancey's not totally wrong. But if we could combine Becton's conditioning approach and Yancey's strength approach, man, that'd be cool. But we'd have to create a human being for such things to happen. We have an execution problem. We do at the schematic level, but also too, just like at the technique level, at the one-on-one level, we can struggle with technique. Once again, is that because they're not confident in their strength? I don't know. It's so multifactorial. It's hard to parse out it's exactly this or exactly that in a lot of the offensive line stuff.
There's a lot of comments.
Yeah, I know. People are getting fired up. Weight room is non-existent to the O-line, which is weird because it's existent to the D-line.
No, not really.
They're not. There's one player that was getting pushed around last year, but I never see a problem with us getting blown off the ball.
But they have naturally freakishly powerful dudes on the defensive line.
So that I agree there that there's a little bit of selection bias.
And they also usually have transfers at the defensive tackle positions.
You and Paul always point this out, that as soon as someone transfers in, we get intel that they're the strongest person in the program. And it's like, well, the transfer is always the strongest. What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm looking back to see if there's other.
All right, let me see. Yeah, there's so many I'm having to read through them.
Ryan Nelson says Flood just isn't getting it done, Ian. I think just talking about this, I'm like, have I overlooked the risk that Flood is not going to be able to integrate transfers, especially including a transfer that arrived in the summer, into his program and system in time for them to be good at this in the fall?
I think there's a softening effect that, like, I wanted Flood gone at the end of the season, and then he's not gone, so there's nothing you can really do about it. And then you start to just get hopeful for the season. And I told myself, it's like whatever I do, I'm not giving the offense the benefit of the doubt. Like they lost it last year, and I can feel myself kind of doing that already because I want them to be good. And so I do think that just posing that question to yourself is healthy because I think I might be getting a little burnt orange glasses. Not a lot, but I might be giving 20, 30% too much credit at times here.
Blake Bryant on the positive side says, I've watched Siani quite a bit in the last 2 weeks, and the more I watch, the more I think we could have the best tackle duo in the country this year.
I like Siani a lot. When we were talking about getting him, I had to evaluate his tape. And Ian points out too, we were looking at Seton at that point as well.
Yeah.
And if you look, Seton is an incredible athlete. He's going to get drafted like early. He's just a rare human being. When I actually watched him at Colorado, I wasn't that impressed. Like a lot of the times he wasn't doing anything. He looked awesome doing it. He looked awesome running somewhere, looking kind of confused. He moved well, but he's not a dominant technician. He's all development based and rare human based. So, and he does some great stuff in the pass blocking. I think I'm discrediting a little bit, but it wasn't, his name and notoriety was not linked 100% to his film. So then they were like, well, Siani, can we moneyball this where we can get a comparable tackle, maybe not in like measurables or 40 time, but in on-field production. And I think Siani does give you on-field production similarity to Seton. We'll see if he explodes out of the roof at LSU. Maybe Colorado's not really known for their offensive line coaching, but I think you can moneyball this. I do like Siani. And he moves well. He was doing a ton of sweeps and stuff like that. He does a lot of the things we ask.
You know, one thing with Siani and Seymour is that they were both pretty good at inside zone last year, just what everyone else does. And you could see this line being good at inside zone if they focused on that. But then they lose, and it might be easier to just be good at inside zone for next year. It's an easier scheme than outside zone. But then they lose like all the advantages of how quick everyone is. And then they lose the advantage of how devastating outside zone is to like Oklahoma in particular and other college defensive.
Yeah, it would be a funny situation where we do start mauling once we actually got the bodies in, and then suddenly we can't beat OU and A&M, which would be equally devastating.
You can still beat A&M. A&M is the run in general is trouble for them.
Yeah.
Unless those tackles are a lot better this year. But Oklahoma for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's just and you have the playbook in the past. What Alabama, they were more inside zone focused at Bama, right? Most of their RPOs came off of that. I know Sark did a whole clinic on it, specifically inside zone like RPOs, but
yeah,
somehow it switched to an outside zone focus.
Yeah, which has been good, I think.
I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm not assigning a value to it, but there is a difference.
Inside zone it has strengths and weaknesses. The strengths are that it's the easiest system to build everything around especially when you're in the spread. Like every big high school in Texas, it's like, hey, if you can find a bunch of big kids at your school and they're willing to commit, you can get them strong. You can get everybody benching 300. You can get everybody squatting 400. Did you get that high in your days?
Benching 400?
Benching 300, squatting 400.
No, neither.
You didn't start though either, right? Or did you start?
No, I started. No.
Okay. The bigger schools can usually get like 4 or 5 guys that can do that every single year. And then you just train them to run inside zone tight together and you just push. And it's the same in college. You just get a bunch of big dudes and you teach them. But then the problem is that because it's what everybody does, everybody has counters to it. And the outside zone just gives Texas all these different unique advantages. But then it also just plays on the same problems we already have, where it's like now everybody has to be an athlete. Everybody has to be good at a million things.
Devastating. Scale of 1 to 10, how concerned will you be if Texas can't run inside zone again week 1 before Ohio State against Texas State? I think if we did run it, it wouldn't mean anything to me. But if we couldn't run it, that would mean something to me. Sure.
Not that concerned. This wouldn't be that shocking to me.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not concerned just because I frankly expect that to happen. I just don't want to see the total combobulation versus this team. Like they don't know where to climb up to. They're not working double teams together. Like if that confusion is what freaks me out more than, hey, you just couldn't, in your terms, bench press the guy off of you. At least you were at the right spot. I get freaked out when they're not working together, not talking to each other before the snap, not executing the scheme. That's when you know there's wider issues that spread to other schemes and cohesion and really just effort and work in the offseason. That's far scarier than getting outmatched physically, even though you don't want to be outmatched physically.
Yeah. Somebody notes Byron Murphy was strong at Texas. Byron Murphy was strong coming in.
Yeah.
On this one, I don't know. They're gonna. To me, it will not be that alarming if they have a lot of stuff to work out in the first few weeks, especially with all the transfers.
And there was growth through moving guys around at the end. So we did see them get better. We know we can, but we don't have till week 9 to figure out offensive line this year either.
No.
Like you will lose several games before you quote unquote figure it out. So it's also that reality too, is like I did see them improve, but it was way too late. It kept us out of the playoffs last year. This schedule is deadly. You cannot have that happen. Maybe it's rough a little bit versus Texas State. Maybe it's rough against Ohio State, but like they have to be ready by like Tennessee. They have to be good enough. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometime in game 1, teams can confuse you up front. Sure, there is the level of game 1, but I'm kind of talking last year. We were into several games where we had no clue what was going on. So there is that adjustment period.
It got worse every week.
Yeah, it got worse. So I do agree. I will allow some like, hey, you're back in the season. And if I see it once or twice, I'm good with it. If I'm seeing it 10 or 12 times, like I was, and it was getting worse versus not good competition, that's when you'll know that it's going to be a longer season for us. What does Notre Dame run? Because they have a factory up there.
Notre Dame has many, many differences in how they do things than Texas. Notre Dame gets leaner guys, and they never actually get that big. You look at their line, they have like maybe one guy that's like 320 plus, but he's also like 6'7". They get tall, lean dudes, kind of like Indiana. They lift really heavy. They mostly play in a 3-point, maybe not mostly, but they play a lot in a 3-point stance. Texas like never does that. Hardly ever.
Everyone looks like a tackle. Yeah.
3-point stance, meaning you look and Notre Dame's offensive linemen have their hand in the dirt and their pads down. And they play a different style where Texas, you want to absorb. Texas is guys you want to catch and absorb people, let them go where they want to go, and then just keep pushing them that way, which is a great way to do it. Lots of really good teams do it that way, and it works really well with the big human thing. Notre Dame fires out, hits the guy, and tries to move him, like win initial leverage, which is why they are leaner. So they have a completely different style.
And that's why they start lower. So they have the leverage.
There's not a whole lot of teams that do it the way Notre Dame does it. Go Lesh does it that way, interestingly, I noticed. And he does it that way in the veer and shoot, which is a fun wrinkle.
The downside is it affects vision. So you guys have to really know what they're doing and know exactly where they're going. If you know you're hitting this tackle to your left, then being lower is all good. But otherwise, you can't see linebackers as easily and that kind of stuff too. So vision helps in a kind of a tackle stance. There's benefits and downsides to both.
They also, Notre Dame gets Midwestern kids that are just a little different than down here. They've like
culturally they just make better offensive linemen up there, or meaner, I guess.
I think there's I don't know. There's a few different components. There's like the working class deal. They got a lot of working class kids, like in the Rust Belt and stuff.
It's the wrestling culture, I think, helps.
The wrestling, I think, is maybe the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
And they said so many of them wrestle in the off season rather than playing basketball or shot put or whatever.
And you gain an incredible understanding of blocking and wrestling, just where to position your body, how they can counter you. I mean, that's a hell of a sport for teaching offensive linemen. I would even teach them sumo. We need to integrate more sumo as well.
More sumo, says Connor.
Yeah, more sumo, more wrestling. Any type of like physical wrestling style, I think, is great for offensive linemen.
What do you do off season, Connor?
In high school?
Yeah.
We did the wrestling matches, but they were basically gladiatorial for a bunch of 25-year-old coaches just to go battle kids. There was no technique. It was just, you had to be on your knees on the mat. They wouldn't even let you stand up because a lot of people would get injured. So they wanted like to reduce your force output. So you'd have to start on your knees and then you would just collapse. But that was the first place I got a concussion because on the mats, me and a kid just went at the exact same angle and just smacked our heads together. That was the first time I got woozy from it. But so we did quote unquote wrestling, but it was really coaches having fun battling kids. We weren't learning technique. It was just whoever knocked the other one guy over, everyone would cheer. But it wasn't like, hey, the reason why you got knocked over is because your hand placement was wrong. There was no coaching occurring. It was just a series of small fights.
This is changing around here, partly because we have an enormous, like around here, like Texas, because we have an enormous influx of Midwestern and Chicago area in particular in-nation migrant people. It's like when I did like in Pop Warner, there are so many dads and coaches and higher ups involved where they start talking and you're like, am I in Chicago right now? Why does he sound like that? and they all care about like O-line play and run blocking and stuff like that. And then there's like more wrestling programs in high schools around here now than there used to be. Yeah. And that's more of a, so we're getting some northern influence because Texas has been so attractive to in-nation migrants. And I think in particular, I think the people that are moving to Texas from like California and Chicago and wherever else are particularly the kinds of people that were like the big drivers of football in those places.
Yeah.
So
you're also selecting for people that kind of like agree with the stereotypical Texan thing. Like it'll crack me up whenever I hear people that just moved here, like talking about what Texas is and what Texas represents. They have this, idealized version of the West and total freedom and these kind of things. But I think you do select for the people moving here with this kind of more aggressive physical mindset, watching cowboy movies pretty often.
Yeah, well, they're all working class and or Republicans, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And but it'll crack me. You'll see like Joe Rogan be like, let me tell you about Texas. And it's just like you're reading this sounds like a brochure. Makes me laugh. But hopefully that happens.
We need to assimilate them a little more, but I'm happy to receive their knowledge on how to create offensive linemen.
In exchange, we will take that. We will take that knowledge. Any kind of final pieces here? Overall, it ended up being, I feel less confident after this conversation. But I do ultimately think, hey, set the floor. Don't do dumb stuff. Know what you're talking about. I don't think they're going to get meaningfully stronger. Maybe they do. They have said this offseason they are lifting heavier. It has been a focus. They have heard the critiques. So maybe. And the end of last year got much more reasonable. So if they can just continue that, integrate the transfers who we think clearly have the talent to start, we just need to see if the integration process works effectively. That we could have something that works in tandem with the running backs, quarterback, and wide receiver.
I want to hit some questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, we have a bunch.
Tell
me the timestamps whenever you say them so I can find them.
Let's do this 1024 Bobby Petronic.
Aren't a lot of distractions in South Bend? Oh, this one. Homer fights with Latino wife, which is a solid technique to improve quickness and wrestling ability. You're not wrong.
Okay. I just want to get you on record whether that's true or not. There aren't a lot of distractions in South Bend, just the weight room and snow. There's like a lot of college towns though that are not like just loaded with distractions. So
yeah, I just don't.
Most of them, really.
Yeah, and I did a video a long time ago. Like, if Austin was such a distraction, our volleyball team wouldn't be great. Our baseball team wouldn't be consistently great. Like, I don't take the distractions reason at all.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It would affect every program, and Texas is constantly winning the Directors Cup. So it just doesn't bear out. It's not a reasonable thing when you apply it to the whole school.
I think there's probably truth to it, but to your point, other programs overcome it. So and it's not like what do you really need as a college student to be distracted and get into trouble?
Correct. Are there not girls in bars?
You need alcohol and you need young girls. And
yeah.
Guess what you can find in every single college town in America.
Right.
So Yeah. Drew says it's not Miami. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Ryan Nelson, 1026. Do you think SEC O-line play has declined from your research?
Oh, you shouldn't have brought this up.
I don't know if I have done. I don't know what research into this would look like. So I'm not
well,
sure.
You and Paul have been workshopping a fall of offensive line civilization piece. So
yeah, I know, but I haven't necessarily been researching it exactly. I don't know what that.
All my friends that went to school in dry counties would just drive 30 minutes to the county line every time, which would actually increase dangerous behavior because they would be driving in states they shouldn't be driving in. So it ends up backfiring with the college kids because they're going to go find it. They're going to go get it no matter what.
Jackson Miles tries to attribute the success in Midwestern blocking to the German influence. I don't know.
We've had Texas has German influence. It should have been there already then.
Yeah. Now there are lots of places in the Midwest where there's lots of big framed, big boned people. That's probably partly related to the, like the heavy per capita rate of Northern European people from like Germany or Scandinavia, Minnesota or whatever. But maybe more than that is like just how many like working class towns there are there, and how it like was just so much of the Midwest was a hub for immigrants to come work in like steel factories and things like that. So you just have that kind of hard working class mindset with big framed people. It helps some. Seems like we got plenty of big people other places in the country too, though. So I don't know.
David Keith Williams, what's up, man? Why is Lawrence Seymour not getting more acknowledgement as a transfer to Texas? He is filling a position that is a cavernous hole for Texas. Yeah, I think that's the upside, right? I think one reason is he didn't show up until the summer. So you just, it's easy to build your legend in spring, and we're able to report on you in spring. So I think that's just a natural part of it, is no one actually knows. And then, he started off at Miami, but then he had a unique path after there. It's not as simple as being like, that's an Alabama transfer, which automatically fans get excited about. So I think that's what's going on. But I do agree, if Flood integrates him properly, it could be a huge upgrade.
We have heard very little about him.
Yeah.
In off season since he's arrived. So
because all you could really hear is that he ran good, or he lifted heavy.
It'd be really funny if he came in and Flood saw he was like 6'1", and he's just like, nope.
We're not allow it.
And then it's like week 8 and we finally play him and he's good.
Yeah, but I 100% agree. Like, figuring out that left guard spot is absolutely crucial. All right.
Good case scenario for this year. Maybe so I think the tackles are going to be good. Somebody said we might have the best tackle duo in the country. I think that's possible. Doesn't even really need to be true. I think Baker is going to translate fine at right guard.
I don't know what to make of him in some ways. In like run blocking, I think he'll be fine in pass blocking, but just where I don't know. It's not that I don't believe he can do it or believe he can do it. I just don't know for his run blocking side.
David's also asking why is it such a certainty that Baker will play right guard and Lawrence Seymour will play left guard? I don't know. I've never understood, David. They kind of locked that in early, probably for comfort and reps or something. I don't know. But
I generally agree. I want my Mauler more at right guard, but and I want my pass blocker at left guard, because what happens is defenses isolate the 3 and the 5 technique more often to the left tackle side, forcing them into one-on-ones. So you need to be able to pass protect better at left guard. Generally, you can put your run blocker at right guard, but so to me, it would make sense traditionally to have Baker at left guard. But so I agree a little bit with your confusion. And of course, we had right guard was the mauling position with Campbell last year too.
It's been, yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a good question to ask.
We'll see in the fall. This is going to be a major place of intrigue for fall football. But there's still Kojo. There's still the Coleman twins, and there's still Sikorsky. I'm not trying to do the thing where it's like you mention a bunch of names in hopes.
Yeah, what's your rule? The more names you mention, the more trouble you're in.
Yeah. All those guys, no. Many of those guys have played or showed something before. So I feel like there's a good chance that they will be able to find a 5 that works and have a little leeway with depth.
And I think some things that are different. Sark is far more locked in this offseason. Yeah. That matters.
He's talking trash.
Yeah, he's talking trash. He's calling people out. I think he's more fired up. I think he's been able to renew a little bit after a tough offseason last year for him. So I think that matters. Of course, the coaches hear all of this. Nobody wants to be on Twitter and see that they're repeatedly called the weak link and calling for their firing. So I would hope Flood, too, is far more locked in. They generally do hear the fan base on these things.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I got myself down for a little bit here.
You're back, baby.
I'm not back. I'm back. I'm back where I always land, where it's like they really just need to be decent.
That's exactly where I'm at. As long as I don't see stunts completely simple stunts destroying left guard, they can just give me what they gave me at the end of last season, and I'm comfortable with the level up in Arch in another year, backs that can score, and then wide receiver threats.
I'm confident that Colorado will not have a better offensive line than Texas.
Hey, that's a good way to end it. Flash sale, join for $1 and then 50% off your first year. Link is down in the description below. Stay locked in, y'all, for the rest of the shows coming at you today, and we will see you later.